Hello. Oh, why am I frozen? Hey, I'm frozen, but you can still hear me, so that's cool. Give me a second. Hey, me, why am I frozen? What is that? Also, where did my cursor go? Hey, don't go anywhere. I can you can still hear me. Just give me a second. This is hypothermia. That's what happened. We're in a moment of hypothermia. Uh hey everybody. I don't have hey, there's my cursor. My cursor's back. Yay. All right, give me a second. Hey, where are me? Whoop whoop. Well, that's weird. Hold on. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, give me a second. Hello. I'm back. There was just hey, how are you? How's it going? What is new and exciting and all of the business? Hi. Uh, I thought I'd say hi. So, there were some questions and I thought I should uh, share them with you. Oh, look at that. It looks like I double posted. I'm sorry about that on the tweet. I didn't mean to. It's what happened. Uh, Hi. How's it going? Forgive my, you know, sad looking green screen that it will not be there and it'll be exciting. Hey, hi everyone. As silly as like, I'm a gigabit boy. Hi everyone. This is not a new chair. This is my old chair. I've not yet built the new chair. I have to do that. I haven't had time.
Name game.
The name game. By the way, I'm Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole. Welcome to Thursday's Mac Gaming stream, and we're playing The Long Dark, also known as Hypothermia and Hernias, which is like Dungeons and Dragons, but it's full of hypothermia and also hernias. And I would like to give some love for the resub of Krellin, one of our OG battle buddies. Come on, everybody. I say now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an M will appear. And then I say bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, info. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Krellin, 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 Bobellin, Banana, Fana, Fofelin, Fee, Fi, Momelon. Krellin, the name game. Hey, how are you? Krellin, I do like singing and I appreciate that question. So here's the thing. The question was, we started very late. How late are you streaming? I'm probably streaming to 9:30, so we probably only get like a two and some, a little bit less than 2.5, because I had to do something, y'all. I had to do something that was really important. I had to get it out tonight because people were asking for it. And so here's the thing. Do you want to know what I was doing? The reason why I was late? Do you want to know why I was late? Do you want to know? 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 I specifically scheduled the tweet to go out in an hour so that I could show you all first. Since you are here, I thought you might like to see what I was up to. It was this.
Calling all agents.
Tune in Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern for a very special episode of City of Light and Shadow, a Fate French Resistance campaign. If you have always wanted to do surveillance on the activities of the French Resistance, but were daunted by the backlog, this session is the best session to show up for. See a brand new resistance cell in occupied Paris, one night only, and see how they deal with the troubles of 1942. The guests are explosive as the city itself. Report to twitch.tv/TrooperSJP, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, to see them in action for this special session.
So, what do you think? How's that? Ooh, well, we actually have one of the regular cast. Lindsay is going to be here. Yes. So here's the thing. I got some stuff to do before tomorrow, for many reasons. But, so here's what's what, y'all. KP and Dot are off on the D3 cruise, so they couldn't make it. They couldn't make it on Friday, which was like no big deal. It's like, okay, we've got Greg, we've got Lindsay, and we will I'll get 2 guests, right? It'll be cool. I'll get 2 guests. We'll do some stuff. I got some ideas, and then I just found out from Greg that he couldn't make it. I found this out yesterday, and I was like, oh no. Well, we can do 3, but then I realized, wait a minute. I can do an episode with an entirely different cell that might need to, and that means I just need to get one more person. And if I can do that, we can do an entirely new cell. And that entirely new cell can also interface with what's happening in a kind of an interesting way. And so we're going to go, I wanted to make the teaser for it, which is going to go out in an hour, and then we'll also go out tomorrow at noon. And we've got to go make characters and make the cell full on, all that goodness. And I mean, Paris isn't there's a lot of stuff going on in Paris right now that our main group has caused trouble. And that trouble that they've caused, well, we'll just have to see what it's like if you're a different resistance cell, how that works out for you. And if that works out well or not, how you deal with the kind of trouble that our main group sets up for you all. Yeah. Will we get 18 episodes this season? Will it be commies? We're finishing up our character sheets with them. I've got to go get them a bunch of information. That's one of the things I'm doing right after we get out of stream tonight, is I'm going to send them a bunch of stuff, and then we can get ourselves together. Trooper, do you ever do anything that's simple? Maybe. I can't think of what it is at the moment. Breakfast, probably, mostly. Le Beau Paris is getting bloody. It is. Paris is getting a bit bloody, and there are tensions. Should I be concerned with the villain / type curling? Maybe. No, the reason why I was curling my mustache is because when Tuesday, Thursday I teach, and I have to put on a mask, and that mask always messes up my mustache. My mustache is perfectly curled in the morning. I put on my face mask and it ruins my mustache. And then I come on to stream to be with you all, but my mustache is ruined. So I had to, fix it. That's all. The main group has only caused a little trouble, just a little bit of trouble. And that trouble, I'm sure will, yeah. Oh, speaking of, the letters from home, you know how normally I've been limiting you to about 2. I'll be giving you the full 4 on Friday because our new group is a tier 1 resistance cell, which means they don't have many fate points. They have 1 apiece, and then their group doesn't have many. We're back at the young days, so we've got a very young faction, tier 1 faction, who don't have as many resources and all of that as our current group, and we're going to just see how that is going to work. That's all I'm saying. So yes, and we now have to wait at least another week to find out how Oscar's doing. Oscar is not doing well is the best way. And of course, when we come back, by the way, this Friday is 3 guests and Lindy being a brand new cell, that I sell who may or may not know Madame Cobra. And then we will have next week, which is when we have our guest, Pooja, playing our prince's sister. So I'm very, very excited about all of that. We probably are going to have like a 2 or 3 day skip between the last episode and the one coming up next time. So yes, tomorrow is our very special episode with special guests. And I'm very excited by this because, why wouldn't I be? Why wouldn't I be excited about that? So look, I was chatting with them in our Discord. It's been like a whirlwind the last couple of minutes, and I wanted to get this ad out tonight. And been hearing about some character concepts for them, and I've got when you're like, oh, wouldn't it be really great if X were the case, because then I could do Y? And then I was like, Y would be so mean. It would be so mean to do Y if they do X. But I think they're gonna do Z, and if they do Z, then I can do Q, which will also be mean and terrible in the best way, but then I can't do Y. But that's fine. No matter what, there'll be really exciting, terrible things that I get to do, and I'm very, very excited about it. But it's a really cool thing. I was gonna do something very different, but then when Greg couldn't make it because of a family situation, I was like, oh, I can do this. And so I'm very excited about giving us a brand new cell for this session who are... Do I hate PCs? I don't hate PCs. My job is to give them hard choices and give them things to grapple with so we can see what their characters are about. I love the PCs. I love them very, very much. And I am much nicer than people would say I should be. Time change note. Normal time tomorrow is for the US, but for the UK it'll be 11 p.m. due to them not springing forward till the Sunday. Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, there are many people who think I'm far too nice to the PCs because a number of things that I do that I probably, if I were a different person, I would do differently, but whatever. So you say you don't hate PCs because you are a sadist and enjoy them as things to inflict pain upon. No, like I tend to, look, so how do I put this? There are people who are in various Reddits who will tell you how you should run Fate, and how I do it is they would say that I'm far too kind. For example, people say that you should have about 3 to 4 conflicts every session. And sometimes we don't have any. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, because like you need to have all those conflicts to like bleed them dry of their fate points. People also say that I have conflicts if they make sense. Otherwise, I don't. Also, I do not give them compels if they don't have fate points. Like if they have run out of fate points, I will not give them any compels, which is, people would say, is far too nice, because what you do is you bleed them dry of fate points and then you start giving them compels they cannot say no to. But for me, a compel's only interesting if they can say no, because then they have to make a choice. Do you want to take the compel or not? If they have no fate points, then I already know the answer to that question. I only make compels I don't know the answer to. Unless I know the answer is going to be that they're going to do this really terrible thing, in which case I give them the compel so I can give them a fate point. But generally speaking, I am interested to see what they'll do. And if they don't have a fate point to refuse the compel, then I already know what they're going to do. And that's not interesting to me. So I don't give them compels if they don't have fate points with which to refuse, which people would say is too nice. Let's see, what else? Also, boosts should disappear by the next some people say boost should disappear by the next action, right? If you get a boost, you have the next action to use it. Otherwise, it goes away. And at the longest you can have boost stick around is the scene itself. And once the scene is done, that boost is gone. And I tend to let boost stick around for the session. People think that advantages should leave at the end of the scene, and I tend to let them stick around. The session, like, at least I will clear them out like after about a day in game time, unless it makes sense for them to stay around longer. So I tend to let the boosts and the advantages stay way longer than people say I should. People say I should, and some people have yelled at me. They said, you are just ruining the fate point economy because you let things stick around too long. And I was like, and then also another thing that I do that people would say is far too nice is, Krillin, this isn't the difference between nice and mean. It's the difference between gamism and simulationism. Hey, Max Writer, what's the other thing? Oh, here's another thing that I do that people would say is too nice. And that is in Fate, the GM's fate points refresh at the beginning of every single scene. So if I do a scene, I use my fate points, the next scene, I get to fill up all the way. And I actually don't do that. I only refresh my fate points when I use all of them. So I start with 4. And if in the first scene I use 2 of them, I have 2 left, technically, by the rules, when I start the next scene, I should go back up to 4, but actually I stay at 2 until I use all 4 of my fate points, and then I refresh myself back up again. At least that's what I have been doing. I could very easily refresh back up to 4 every scene. But I have so far not been. I have been waiting until I use all my fate points, and then I refresh back up at the next scene, which means sometimes I walk into a scene and I have fewer fate points than I could have. But now that our players have so many fate points, I might just go back to that. We will see. Rissa says, see, the thing is, dead PCs are no fun, but Trooper isn't one to fudge dice roll to get a particular outcome. But the thing is, it is really hard to kill PCs in Fate. It's not impossible, but it's really hard to kill PCs in Fate. That if PCs die in Fate, that's kind of on them. Max Ritter says, are you too nice because you won't kill characters in your game? So long as it makes sense. If the dice say die and the Trooper kills them, I respect that. Okay, Fate. We're talking about Fate. I'm too nice because, well, as Krellin notes, I'm a bit more simulationist than I am narrativist, and there are a bunch of things that they do in Fate that serve narrative timing, but for me, I want to keep it a bit more simulationist. So there are a bunch of things that I do that sort of hamper myself, and things I do to sort of boost the players a little bit that don't fit within the narrative sort of elements of Fate, but for me work better for simulationism. So because sometimes, like, if you want to be realistic, you're nicer to the PCs, right? You know what I mean? So sometimes there's a little bit of that. So I do a number of things. Now, as for not refreshing anymore, the players have so many fate points at this point in time. They've got a pretty decent amount of fate points, and I don't give them so many conflicts as many people have recommended. 3 to 4 conflicts in a session. That's so many. I might just refresh myself every scene starting about now. We will see. I don't know if about that one to discuss. Oh, we can talk about it. Are we going to queue up the game and chat? Well, oh yeah, we have to trudge through the snow. We have snow trudging too, don't we? I've actually found my keeper style relaxing since watching you run games. Really? How so? Tell me more about that. How so? And now I will note, one of the reasons why I'm way more mellow, I think, is that I'm not, like, the pacing of the game, I don't force challenges. Do you know what I mean? Like, if a conflict happens, then it will happen, but I don't necessarily force them. Like, it is recommended you do about 3 to 4 conflicts per session. to keep that fate point economy going. But I was like, I don't feel like I need to do that. I feel like I should just, by the way, what am I doing? Oh, I wanted to go, we had those things we wanted to, explore, right? We had, we're here, but we wanted to head over this way, this way, this way, this way. We wanted to sort of make this loop, is I believe what we wanted to do. Oh, but there's something right down here. So we should just go down here to this bunker while we're here. Absolutely. I don't think... Yeah, we're just going to do that. I mean, I feel like that should be fine. And I'm also going to just repair this while we're here. I feel like that's primo. Oh, you know what? Maybe we should also just repair our clothing and stuff while we're here so that when we are less encumbered. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I don't have much food and or wood, so we've got to get someone we're out there. I don't worry about getting through a... So, where am I? Come here. It might be the game I'm running, and I usually let the players set the pace of the game, but I've had fun just taking my time. Something I've done in a very long time. I don't worry about getting through a scenario in a game session. Yeah, no, I mean, I've always been a fan of just letting the campaign, letting them go, letting it take the time that it needs to take. And when I need to, like, I can push when I need to, but I'm much more interested in just letting it go. Do you know what I mean? Just letting it sort of be where it's going to be. Yeah, I actually really, and mainly because I'm really interested to see, I really like player-driven stories, and I really like seeing where the players are going to go. It's also kind of dark right now, by the way. I thought I'd note that. Also, I have my cursor when I go into this. In the Saltmarsh Down Darker Trails game, they spent the first couple of sessions just meeting people in town, moving forward on their agendas. I think that's great. Didn't even touch the actual scenario until game 4, I believe. Yeah, and I sort of believe, I mean, for me, I feel like the story of the game is what the players do. Whatever it is they do, that's the story. 3 to 4 conflicts per session was made up by big fate to sell more fate points. Look, there's a whole bunch of theory about the fate point economy and like how much you have to drive it to keep things moving. But I'm like, we'll see what happens. I think that depends on the kinds of pacing you want, right? Like some will be go, 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 but other times you want the long con. Yeah, build suspense. But it's also about keeping the fate point economy, keeping things moving and circulating. Max says, now they're in the thick of it, but instead of just dealing with the people in the haunted house, they decided they needed to recruit help. Ooh, nice. The only people they know who are violent enough are a local family called the Baldries, who everyone in town hates, but one character already made a connection with. Oh, nice. So, for $100 a head, they hired the 5 brothers to bolster their numbers. Next session, they attack the house and the smugglers within, and we'll see how it goes. Best thing, one of the players said, I've always wanted to have redneck backwoods characters you make work with us. See, that's really awesome. And I love giving them that little bit of space. Do you know what I mean? I will also say, by the way, where are we at? Oh yeah, we're not too bad with our, what do you call it? Oh, hey, while we're here, do you know what I think I should do? I think I should repair my, bedroll. We've got a ruined sewing kit, which we can now ditch. Look, what I'm trying to tell you is we're just going to see what we can do in terms of... Oh, I remember what it was. We were looking for a workbench. I don't know if there's a workbench in here, but I wanted to look before we left. It was like just a quick, and there may not be a workbench in here, but I did want to look because we might be able to just get some stuff done before we head out. And if there is a workbench, then our life will be a little bit easier. It's been about a month since my group played last week. So one of the players asked if we could have an in-character recap session, which worked out nicely because I was also introducing a new player last week. Oh, that sounds great, Krellin. I love that sort of a thing. Let's see if we can... Yep. Because those characters are typically a threat, not an ally. Yes, and I love that. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. I mean, redneck is one of those things that has been often used as an insult. And so, you know, I can see people being a bit careful on that one. All right, so we have... we've done our thing, y'all. There's no workbench here. So we're going to have to find one when we have time. That'll be our goal, is to see if we can find a workbench when we're wandering. It has always been pretty slur slanted in my past. I think that rather than a slur, I'd probably call it an insult. I think it has sort of shifted in its vibe from insult to slur over time. So yeah. So like those are all terms that people have used as look, I think sometimes we confuse insult and slur, and they're not exactly the same thing. An insult and a slur aren't the same, but functionally, do you know what I mean? What's the difference between an insult and a slur? Slurs, so like, interesting. I guess a matter of special. I come from a land thereof, and is a mark of pride. Oh, well, it has been reclaimed. It has absolutely been reclaimed. So that is a thing to note, that people now use it as a... Well, but then again, people have also often used it in a positive way as well as a negative way, and sometimes as a neutral way. So that's tricky. I think that's one of the reasons why it doesn't necessarily work as a... where I wouldn't necessarily frame it as a full-on slur. Yeah, slur is more specific to a demographic rather than... Ooh, hey. Tomato soup.
Okay.
Let's take it. Absolutely. Hey. I don't think I've gone all over here, so that's exciting. Yeah, so slurs tend to be about insulting a large group of people, usually who are sort of marginalized, right? So slurs are about sort of insulting a marginalized group of people. So that's different. Hello, Laugh Love Lindy. The word has a lot of history to unpack no matter which way you approach it. One of these days, you're going to wander one of these buildings and find them murderous. Maybe. So, right, so a slur tends to be about, oh, well, this is our dead frozen corpse friend. Yeah. Also, no, but there is a book, which I'm just going to take, because I'll probably need it for firewood. Yeah, so slurs are about, again, insulting groups of people, often who've been marginalized, right? And it's about large groups of folks. Hello, can I want to just get that energy drink. Hey, Lindy, by the way. Hey, Lindy. I showed them the trailer for tomorrow's episode, which you haven't seen, but is going live, by the way. Oops. Is going to go live. I need to stand up. There we go. Is going to go live at 9:09. So they've seen it, and you'll need to see it because it's going to be awesome. So stupid is an insult because it is a characteristic, but if it were demographicable instead, like say, not necessarily gypsy, which many people consider insulting, but which also is, yes, absolutely. So, yes, because, yes. Now, if a person is Roma and is like, I'm not bothered by the term, then you're good, right? But because it's been often used as a slur to insult a large group of people, it is often like, I wouldn't. It's also tricky, right? Because the word is actually used in other contexts. like the phrase Gypsy Jazz is a phrase that people use. That is what the genre was called back then, so it's a little tricky, but it's one of the things just to be sort of aware of and watch out for, right? Yeah, so like...
Come on to my house.
Atomic... come on to my house, come on. Come on to my house, come on. Come on to my house, I'm gonna give you candy. Come on to my house, I'm gonna give you everything. Welcome in, Atomica and Raiders. How are you? I hope you're doing well. What were you streaming? Were you streaming The Long Dark? Hello, first time chat. How are you? Gypsy Jazz was a term the Roma who made it accepted. Yes, yes. But this, of course, and the thing is, Jared, this becomes tricky, right? Because this becomes a tricky thing. No, I'm totally snailing around still. I am, like, I'm still snailing around. I can still be inappropriately slow. Don't say that I'm productive yet. Come on. That thing you love says, that's kind of like the word Navajo, North American Indigenous Tribe, which has negative meanings, yet is a name often associated with a lot of indigenous groups. Absolutely. Hey, everybody. It is such a beautiful waterfall. Long Dark, you died 3 times in 3 hours? Nice, nice, nice. They call themselves the Dine. And it's tricky, right? And actually, this is the funny thing where it gets really tricky. I think about this quite a lot, actually. There are things that people now think of as slurs that people did not think of as slurs then. And that becomes a tricky thing to deal with. Do you know what I mean? So, for example, Django Reinhardt called what he did Gypsy Jazz, right? So he was fine, at least fine enough with that term, but now it is considered very inappropriate. So we have somebody who himself is Roma and who would have used the word Gypsy Jazz to describe the music he was doing. But now you have people now who did not live then being like, oh, you cannot use that word to describe that, even though that is what a person who is Roma would have described what he does as, right? So that's a kind of a tricky thing to sort of think about. How do we deal with, and the same thing actually with Indian, right? A lot of people who are Native Americans would say today, who are younger, right, would say that you should never use the word Indian because it is super insulting. However, the American Indian movement, AIM, like the sort of the civil rights moment, you know, a good civil rights movement, they themselves use the word Indian on purpose. They were like, yeah, no, we're using the word Indian. That's what we want to use. And people, but, you know, that was the 70s. But people who are not alive in the 70s might be like, I can't believe they use that word. That word is so insulting. Never use it. But that was the word that people were using on purpose. Like, they used it on purpose. Same thing with, like, well, all sorts of things. Yeah. So it's a tricky thing. How do you deal with the fact that for some people that is a term that's actually very important to them and they use it on purpose, and other people in a different context are like, no, never use that term. So, right. Yes. Wolf and Two Frozen Death. Oh, I should. Yes, I am going to. I'm going to sing for Atomica for that comment. As a matter of fact, I follow a lot of Native activists, and Indian is a common term they use for unity. Language changes. But the thing about language changing, as Max notes, is that not everybody is dead. Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you do when the language change is regional or class-based or generational, but does not actually cover everyone, right? And sometimes not everyone agrees on that language change, which becomes really, really tricky. So it's not like all groups are unified in what they think the language should be in that moment. So that becomes that becomes very, very tricky. Yeah, do you respect the origins of Gypsy Jazz, or do you acknowledge its use as a slur and give it a different name? Right, and what do you do about the fact, yes, like that's just very, very tricky. By the way, I always feel that somebody's watching me. and I have no privacy. Whoa, I always feel that somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? Ba-da-ba-bow. Thank you for that follow, May Manta Ray. Also, Atomica, the name game. Come on, everybody. I say now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, more an M will appear. And then I say bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, feta, and fo. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. Then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Atomica, Atomica, banana, fana, atomica, fee, fi, mom, Atomica. Atomica, the name game. Thank you for that resub. Yeah. Jared says, queer is another one of those words that has drastically changed connotations the past 30, 40 years. So there's still plenty of older LGBT people who might not want the word used. Absolutely. And this is also, all I can think of is American Horror Story. Oh, absolutely. Also, if you're just joining today's stream, co-last episode tomorrow promises to be an unusual and likely awesome episode. And you know what's really interesting about that is that some of these things that are really tricky is that when the term did not start off as a slur. Spring break for me is next week, which is when I get to get caught up on Critical Role. I'm very excited. And also work on the secret project. Yes. Okay, so look, there's also the trickiness about when things did not start off as a slur, right? So who do you give power to, right? Becomes an interesting question. Let me eat some food. I don't have a lot of food, but let me just eat some food, right? So, for example, you may not know this, but that thing you love says, speaking of queer, I'm having a rather queer meetup tomorrow with some Discord friends. Ooh. So, can't slurs are also insults, but not all insults are slurs. That is how I'd put it. By the way, what are we looking for? We are looking for, oh, a bunker. We're looking for a bunker is what we're looking for. Okay. I don't agree with giving power over towards militia. So, so this is where we get to sort of trickiness, right? This is where we get into trickiness. So if there's a word that was always a slur, and that's always what it was, then there's a thing there, right? But not all words were always slurs. For example, the word queer first started in the queer community. Happens a lot in the mental health space. A lot of scientific mental health terms have been turned into slurs. Right. So then what do you do about that? Well, I don't think all uses of slurs are insults, but some uses of slurs are insults. Oh, well, the thing is the word slur itself, oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, okay, so the word slur is that it's negatively connoted. But I think that when people are using what was a slur in a non-negative way, I think what they're trying to do is turn it into not a slur anymore. Right? So I think that becomes a little bit different. I don't think there are a lot of uses. So I think that becomes a thing where they're trying to use it. There's like a contestation about whether or not it is a slur. And then who do you give power to, right? So I'm thinking about at this moment. All right, let's see what we can do here. So that Dennis says, as my mom will usually say, she's a behavioral specialist. If you say something mean, but with good intent and not knowing better, it's always okay. There's probably a caveat to that, yeah. When you're reclaiming a slur, it's no longer a slur. So that becomes where like some of these questions happens. Like if you reclaim it, is it then no longer a slur? And then you get words that kind of exist in this kind of weird space that's halfway between slur and halfway not. Oh, this game does have old man's beard. Best natural toilet paper you'll ever find. Pick some and let it sit in your pocket while you hike for a day. Soft as Charmin. Yes, right. And so you think, so the word, and there's also the fact that people often don't know things, right? So the word queer, many people think that the word queer started off as a slur and then was reclaimed, and that actually isn't what happened. What happened is that it started as an in-group, it started off as an in-group term. It was sort of started off by queer people, using the term as an in-group code to describe themselves, and then people who were not queer found out, and this was like people were using queer as an in-group term in the, let's say, I saw some stuff about it in the 19 teens, so like maybe like aughts, teens, 19, around there, aughts and teens, is when people were using the term. It meant something different than it means now. It sort of worked a little bit differently then because people's understanding of that was different. So it started off as an insider language to describe, a particular group of people, and then people who were not queer found out that queer people were using that term, and they didn't like queer people, so they used queer people's terms against them, and then it became there's a lot of food here. Y'all, I think what I'm gonna do is over encumber myself in order to get a bunch of food that I'm going to give back to them. There's also fire logs, which I can also give to the town. I actually feel like there's a bunch of stuff that I can probably use here.
I can use this.
That will be really good. I just have to basically deal with the fact that I'm going to be... I hope you all know what I'm talking about. I'm going to just be basically a little bit over encumbered while I, take a bunch of stuff back to town, but I'm not far from town, so I feel like it's actually not going to be that long of a walk. So I think that'll be not so bad. I think I'll just basically load up. I'll load up and then I'll drop some of that stuff off. This is all this stuff is really awesome, and I'm loading up on stuff that I probably don't need to load up on right now. Yeah, so that's a bit of a question. Let's see what we have here. At what point is it reclaimed? That's a question, right? When people start using it among themselves. Sounds better than drawing corn cotton. Hello, Dreadpower Denise. How are you? Hello. You want a light so you don't miss any loot. Yeah, but I'm gonna have to come back here anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if queer was invented in the theater canon of the 1800s. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. I certainly know that it was being used on insider language in the aughts, probably also the 1890s. So there was this time period when it was being used there. Absolutely, I imagine theater canon. That makes a lot of sense to me. And then it was used as a slur, and then it was reclaimed in the 80s. In the 90s, around 1988, 89, 90. Or then it was reclaimed, and now it's being used in this very different way again. So it's one of these things where the term... So some people will be like, you can't use the word queer because it was always a slur, but they don't realize it actually wasn't always a slur. So what happens when something wasn't a slur, but then some people use it against you, and then you... This is a tricky question. And as Jer noted, it's the same thing with mental health terms. Yes... The language evolution often disempowers a group that coins the original word. But the question is it... I have a question here to think about. Atomica says, there's a comedian, Brian Quinn, some would know him from Impractical Jokers, who actually had a skit about insults where he basically said you can turn anything into an insult. Well, that's true. If you call someone a foam face, it means nothing, but someone will get offended. And a club eventually did ask him to not use that joke because it offended someone. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you're insulting someone... how do I put this? Another difference between a slur and an insult. When you insult someone, you're insulting them. You actually mean to offend them. That's the point. You know what I mean? Like, you are offending them on purpose, and you know it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you are insulting them. Slurs, sometimes people don't know a word is a slur. They may not realize that because they may not be knowledgeable. They may say it not meaning to insult someone. They might still insult that person. But an insult, how do I put this? When someone said, I'm offended by that insult, well, yeah, that's the point. Like, I meant to offend you. I was trying to insult you. That was what I was trying to hurt your feelings. That was my goal, right? You know what I mean? Like when somebody insults you, they're doing it on purpose to hurt your feelings and to offend you. Like that's actually the goal of the insult. Slurs also do that, but sometimes people don't realize a slur is a slur, right? Yeah. Joko is lovely. Oh, good. I'm so glad. I do have survivors left to collect. I believe I have one. If you felt like you were at my shoulder telling me to pay attention to one of the authors in the cruise. Oh, really? Which one? Oh, pancakes. No. A slur is what grandma says when trying to come up with someone with a term that was okay 40 years ago. Yeah, but it's also interesting, but not always, because sometimes what she's doing is just not a slur, it's just inappropriate. So I want to bring up a thing, and there's a lot of really cool stuff in here that, here's what's what, y'all. I'm going to drop a bunch of stuff off into this open trunk because there's a bunch of stuff that I would like to... yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that is pretty awesome, but I'm going to dump it all, transfer all, so that I can carry all this stuff back is what I'm going to do. And that coal, I think, would be pretty good for that. I'm going to deal with... Ooh, hey, my hatchet... my hatchet needs repair, everyone. In case you didn't know. Yeah. That's not great. Not great at all. So, everyone, I just want you to know that I'm not happy about that. Oh, also, I don't need both of those cans. But also, I want that can because it's a good one. Yes. So, like, I have this thing I want to share with you all to think about, to pondering. Oh, Rika. I know Rika. She's amazing. I love her. She's a friend of mine. You got to see Rika? I know Rika. She's so great. She's so lovely. I love her. She's a friend of mine. We actually performed together, and she's great. Like, she's a person that I know and like and am a big fan of. Oh my gosh, you got to see. Oh, that's so awesome. I am so excited about that. By the way, I just took a bunch of stuff out of my inventory, and I want you to be proud of me for it. Also, I'm going to load back up again with a bunch of things I'm going to give to the town, because this bunker is clearly made for me to give people, like, townspeople stuff. So I just you know what, yeah, we're gonna just harvest that. Makes me think of that comedian's bit about being called a spooby. It didn't know what a spooby was, but I didn't like it. Inferring that, yes, it was meant to insult, right? And that's what that meant to do. Silly says, my examples of language evolution disempowering, not in the realm of slurs, are meme and refactor, two words that have evolved into meanings that are not what they started as, which have left a gap where you no longer have a way to express the original intended meaning. There's now a gap, a hole in capacity of expression. Oh, yeah. That is a problem that people are talking about with mental health actually all the time. People are very concerned. I wonder if this Mackinac jacket's good. Let's repair it. Why don't we? I don't... Oh, I got rid of all my cloth. Hold on. I need to pick... See, this is what happens when you leave things. When you leave things, then you don't have them anymore. Ugh, that's the worst. Let's just pick up 10 and then try to do some repairs. I know that this is a big... People are... And this is where we go, like, well, language evolves, and, like, but language does not just evolve by itself. It evolves because people do things, and people may resist that evolution and try to push back or change it, right? So it's not like that's just like a given and we're all done, right? And one of the things people are complaining about is the ways in which the social media, they're using a number of well, look at that. That seems to be a better jacket. Let's wear that and then harvest that. People are frustrated with the fact that people are taking terms that mean specific things, like gaslight and are using it all sorts of ways that are not what those terms mean. Oh, hey everybody. These mucklucks are better. Yeah, let's wear those. Let's wear some mucklucks, everybody, and then let's harvest this, because I feel like this is amazingly good. I also feel like we're hungry and thirsty. Do we have I don't have a lot of water left, by the way. Oh, hey, that's okay. There's some water here. Let me just drink this.
Anymore.
Yeah, I'm gonna just drink this while we're just a little. Yeah, that we're just gonna do that. I'm also hungry, but conveniently there's a lot of food here, so I am going to eat this MRE, and that'll be great. Yep. Look at that. No longer hungry. I am tired, but I think I've got some time. So look, there is a thing that I'm going to save. There's a thing I want to talk to you about because it's an interesting issue. Anyway, gaslighting, right? So that people are using gaslighting just to mean basically everything. And people who are like, no, but actually gaslighting is a specific term that means something, and using it to mean everything is actually not useful. Using it to mean everything means that it means nothing, and it means we can no longer talk about something that's really important. So a bunch of people are very frustrated by the fact that people are using the term gaslighting in a way that is not actually what the term means, and they are wanting to resist that because because using it that way means that there are things that you can't talk about, which is what Slee's talking about. That hatchet does need a whetstone real bad. The question is, do I actually have a whetstone? Is a question. I might actually be out. Atomic says, I lucked out. I came from a rather racist family. My dad was one of them, less racist of them, and he really pushed me to not be like him. Oh, that's good. The other family of my generation, they were not so fortunate. Yeah. Denise says, I just fell in love with her on the cruise, but I was too chicken to talk. Oh, I haven't spoken to her in ages because I've been away from California. I've got a secret, by the way, that I can't tell you about. Dennis says, my sister is gay, and whenever she tries to explain stuff or trends in the gay community, it just goes way over my head. I was talking to her today, and she said she was insulted by another gay person calling her gay. I just was thinking about the irony. I'm going to move a bunch of stuff to town. Let's see. I had all the things on my first playthrough, and Milton got greedy in a storm, and the wolf just noped me out of existence. Oh, I hate when that happens. What you're describing would just be a form of information warfare. Basically, yeah. Rissa says, I feel like maybe you shouldn't have harvested those boots on account we know how much it sucks if you lose your shoes to a bear. I know, but they're heavy. Mac CJP says, good morning, greetings from Japan. Good morning. We started to watch your Witcher TTRPG series. Oh, thank you. I seriously didn't know what that was a wig. Yeah, it was. Welcome in the club of cool bald dudes. Absolutely. Yes, thank you. I try to get some like character variation. If you lose your shoes to a bear, did you really deserve those shoes in the first place? Oh yes, my tweet ad is live. I wanted to put it out at 8. That's right. Welcome back. I'm getting the runs just by you saying MRE. And it has been, that's the thing. A lot of people are just using words sort of loosely, and sometimes that can be a problem. Mac wasn't smart, the bears kind of came out of nowhere. That's true. Millie says, language is being aggressively attacked in social media, seemingly intentionally, yes, in ways that seem to be intended to make it impossible to have the consequence of not being able to have. Yeah. Actually, I think that's true. I think that I think this is an information war. People are doing this on purpose, right? Atomic says, I actually heard a story today about a guy who developed a Trojan body armor because he got away from a bear attack and wanted to build a suit where he could fight a bear and win. I wouldn't want to fight that bear. And now I can't even understand myself, so it might be time to stop talking about this. No, I totally get what you're saying. So here's the thing I wanted to share, because now I'm caught up with chat. So I want to tell you a story, and it's about who we give power to and what we think about that. So let me, by the way, I really feel like there's probably some stuff in here that I have not noticed.
Well, this stuff will come in handy.
Oh, these fire logs are heavy. You know what, though? I feel like I can carry fire logs and just be slow. Yeah, we're going to carry these fire logs and just be slow, and then I'll come back and I'll get food, and then I'll drop this food off, and then like it'll be fine. You know what I mean? Like it'll be fine. We saved. We're okay. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a story. And it's about what we think about words and who has power, right? Or just ideas. Who do we give power to? So I was home on leave. Let's see. Let's look at our map. Here we are. Okay, this is great. We've got to come back here because we're not done. But we're very close to town, so I think we just go back to town and drop things off. Yeah, I do wonder. We'll find out, I think, when we start dropping things off. He legit had a bunch of bikers beat him in the suit to test it, then got someone to shoot him, then got hit in a car in it, then jumped off a cliff in the suit. He died years later in a car crash. Oh, fella. So, I was in the Army. I was 19 probably, and I was home on leave, and I went to meet my high school friends. And my high school friends, these three friends were all women. And one of whom had gone off to England for her semester abroad. And she had just come back from her semester abroad, and she was telling us all about her semester abroad. And what she was saying was that she had had sex with all these hot British dudes with hot accents. She was like, all these British dudes, they were so hot, I had all the sex with these British dudes. And my two other friends looked at her in shock and horror, and they said, oh my gosh, that is so awful. Those guys were just using you for sex. You were degraded. Like, they degraded you because they were just using you for sex. And she said, I was just using them for sex, though. And my other two friends were like, no, but those guys did not respect you. They thought bad things about you, and so you were degraded by those instances because of what those men were thinking about you. Now, Crone's like, it sounds like she was using them for sex. And, oops, sorry about that. We have to get off this slope. Don't worry, I will fix it. I will fix it. I will just get off the slope and then I will fix it. Actually, can I fix it? We need to apply that bandage. And then also we need to, we have a sprained wrist and we have some painkillers. So let's just use those painkillers. Take care of that. Men are also in control of how you feel about yourself, in case you didn't know. Yes, right? So, because she sprained her wrist, it was kind of bad. So, but here's the thing, right? And this is about who controls the meaning of something, right? My two friends said these guys did not respect you and they were using you and they thought degrading things about you, and so you were degraded. Now, I pointed out, we don't know anything about these guys. I said, hey, we don't know anything about these guys. We don't know that they were degrading her or they didn't respect her. We don't know anything about what they were thinking. You're just assuming that they were only using her for sex, but we don't actually know that because we weren't there. She was. So, you know, maybe we should ask her. Right? You know what I mean? And I mean, she reduced them to their looks and accent, which is that's pretty degrading. So it was mutual. But those guys may not have been degraded by that either. And that been like, you want to have sex with me because you think my accent's hot? Awesome, right? Like, so the point is, it's about who decides a thing, right? And this goes back to that earlier question we had about, like, if some group uses the term, if you have a term that you feel good about that you made up for yourself, and somebody uses it against you as a slur, is it then a slur, right? That becomes the question. Like, the only somewhat useful, not positive, just useful example is most of history basically said, well, if he was killed by his wife, he was weak, so F him. Yeah, right? So I think this becomes this is the question that I'm sort of wanting to get at. My friends decided that because these men thought bad thoughts about her when they had sex with her, which we don't know, by the way, that actually is just an assumption on their part, we do not know that is true, then she must feel degraded by it, right? If they thought degrading thoughts about her, which we don't know if that's true, then she must feel degraded, even though she didn't feel degraded. She felt totally fine with the situation. She was having a good time. And she's like, I'm happy. This was great. But she enjoyed the sex. She had a great time having sex with these guys. But because theoretically these guys did not respect her when they had sex with her. She should feel degraded even though she didn't. And I felt like that was slut-shaming personally. This is what I felt like, and I was resisting all that narrative the whole time. But I think for me, why this story is relevant to this is, if you don't feel degraded by someone saying something or doing something, but if somebody means to degrade you, or they're thinking degrading thoughts, but you don't feel degraded, whose perception trumps, right? So that becomes the question. Yeah, Aniki was like, that was totally swimming against my idea. I think so too. I felt like it was. So I think this becomes the question, right? This becomes the question. Whose perception? Because remember, we're not talking about punching somebody in the face. We're talking about thoughts and attitudes. This is what we're talking about. Because a slur or an insult is not a physical thing. It's a conceptual thing. So if I insult you by calling you a yogurt eater, and you are not insulted by being called a yogurt eater, should you be? If I mean to hurt your feelings and I say, you yogurt eater, but you eat yogurt, and you're like, that's cool, are you wrong for not being insulted when I tried to insult you? Or should we now, you know what I mean? Like, yes. The only degrading thing here is the fact that someone else thinks they have the right after the fact to tell it. Yeah. Wow, so it's gonna be like strong language, right? Yeah, like, and Millie, I was actually very upset with my two friends, and I was like, hey, third friend, like, if you had a good time, look, also, please note, I was coming from the army, and I was in the army where people had sex with each other if they wanted to have sex with each other, and it was fine. You know what I mean? Like, it was totally fine to have sex with people if you wanted to have sex with them, and they wanted to have sex with you. Just have sex with people if you want. It's not a big deal. That's where I was coming from, because that was like, that was the army, but they were not from that space, and so I was like, hey, my friend, third friend, like, if you wanted to have sex with these dudes, and they wanted to have sex with you, it's totally fine. It's okay. Like, it's not a big deal. You shouldn't feel bad about wanting to have sex with hot British dudes and hot British dudes wanting to have sex with you, and you had sex with each other and it was great. As long as you had a good time and they had a good time, more power to you. That was me. Valtiel takes a large bite of yogurt. I'm okay with being a yogurt eater. And I think that this is for me when we're talking about like reclaimed language and all of that, right? So, and this goes back to something that Jer said earlier, right? Consenting adults is the key, yeah. I mean, my buddies had sex with crayons. I can't judge. You know what I mean? By the way, we're over-encumbered, but we're over-encumbered because we're carrying lots of wood that is very heavy that we're going to go and put in the town hall and drop it all off, and then we're going to not be in a bad way. It'll be fine. Max C. JP says, it is rather amusing. If third parties want to impose feelings onto someone they neither fully understand nor have all the information, but yeah, they weren't even there, right? One decides one's own perception of situations and hopefully is able to differentiate between sincere advice, concern, and causing damage intently. Yes, they wanted her to feel damaged, which I felt really uncomfortable with. I was like, stop that. You know what I mean? That was me. Vulpus says, but in truth, the only person whose opinion you can truly control is your own. And that is true. Anageek says, I had someone try to insult me using the sexual F word, but I caught them off guard when I replied with only partially. Yeah. Yes. Did those crayons give? Yes. And so I think this is, for me, this is a thing that I think is something we should probably think about, right? I think we should probably think about this a little bit.
Night is coming.
Night is coming, and we're moving slowly, but we're going to get to the town hall and drop off all of that wood and then be less encumbered and then come back, find a note. It's going to be great. If you did 2 trips not over encumbered, it will take the same time and not hurt yourself. Well, yeah, but I have to over encumber myself to drop off the stuff, you know? And we're going to still have to make 2 trips. I mean, that's just kind of how that goes, I'm afraid. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm going to eat this stale chocolate bar while I'm here. Just eating it. drinking some water. It'll be fine. Look at that. We're moving faster already. Yeah, so it's one of those things where I was thinking about this, about slurs, right? Somebody said, don't use the word queer, it's a slur. Which they said. And I was like, well, it's been like 30 years since it's been reclaimed, so, I mean, there's that. But also...
come on to my house.
Come on to my house, come on. Come on to my house, come on. Come on to my house, I'm gonna give you candy. Come on to my house, I'm gonna give you everything. Welcome in, Hawkeye. Welcome in for the raid. And hello, Raiders. You know, Annie Geek says, did you hear something? I heard an owl, right? I mean, at least we were closer for drop-offs. Yes, we're very close. That's why I feel not so bad being encumbered, because we're very close. Hello. Atomic says, my favorite response when there's an older guy at my job, I use it on constantly, is when someone says, F you, I say, you can't afford it, or $50, and they always end up confused and appalled. Nice. So, so here's the thing, right? Working day starts. Oh, thank you for being here, Mac CJP, and I hope to see you around because, you know, all of the... There are often wolves around here.
Somebody's watching me.
By the way, I always feel that somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy. Whoa, I always feel that somebody's watching me. Tell me, is it just a dream? Thank you for that follow, Emik-sama. Thank you so much. And also, I believe we have a name game. By the way, don't let me forget to tell you about this thing, music and also slurs. Okay, the name game. Come on, everybody. I say, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name. I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F. Or an M will appear. And then I say bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fan, or info. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. Then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Hawkeye, 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 bo Buckeye, banana, fan, for Hawkeye, fee, fi, mo, mock guy. Hawkeye, the name game. Thank you for that resub of 17 months. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, there's a lot of singing and dancing on this channel. Whenever I can get an excuse to sing and dance, and then I do, is what happens. That's what happens. Atomica says, oh, my favorite abuse of phrasing is an old guy gets called daddy by a bunch of workers, but in like a familial, friendly way. Oh, yeah. I got him mad and he smacked my arm, so I said very socially, harder, daddy. And the look of abject horror on his eyes was palatable. That is hilarious. That is hilarious. Right, okay, so here's the thing I was thinking about when it comes to slurs. And look, again, you know, nobody knows what you're gonna do. I do sing too much. Oh, nice! You stream Persona 5 Royale. What do you sing? What do you sing? Also, we are now going to drop off some fire logs because they weigh 10 kilograms, and we're gonna see what they do for us. Let's transfer that. What happens? Like, does that help us in any way? I don't know. How much? We were at 2.2. They need 48 hours. It's probably a lot. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to have to transfer all of this over, it looks like. Well, fine. Oh, I've got coal. Let's transfer all this coal over as well, because coal burns for a long time. And maybe that will also help. You know, I mean, I don't know, but I'm doing my best, y'all. Did I? Okay. We're gonna have to go back in to see where we're at, because we're only at 19.8, y'all. That's not a lot. Speaking of which, by the way, I'm gonna take back one coal. because I feel like I should be able to have one coal since, you know, I'm probably going to need it to start fires. Also, do I have any food I want to give them? Let me see. Yeah, let's give them that MRE. And I should probably keep that can of peaches. Oh no, MREs don't weigh a lot though. No, I'm gonna give them the peaches and I'm gonna take the MREs because I probably need the food more than they do. And we'll get them heavy stuff. We're just gonna give them lots of heavy stuff and it'll be fine. Oh, but by the way, you know what I was thinking of? By the way, I'm gonna read chat in a second, but I don't think of a lot of water. I don't. You know what? I'm gonna just, there's a stove. We're going to start a fire. We are not going to start a fire. We're going to go to sleep. Because I feel like it's nighttime and we're going to just go to sleep. I really want a workbench. But we're going to sleep and then eat. This is my thought on that. 9 hours. Then we wake up, we eat some food, we relax, you know. I sing a little randomly when I feel like it. Oh, I love some good singing. The P5, yes. Emmy's one of the wrestlers in GK. Oh, and has, oh, nice. Oh, that's cool. Let me pick this up. Notice I am hungry. I'm gonna eat an MRE like a responsible human being. And then I'm gonna drink a lot of water. And all of the water drunk, we're gonna go. Yeah, we don't have a lot of, but look, we look pretty good. I realize that it still looks like we're over encumbered. You know. Diet water, no, just normal water. I do appreciate that Hawkeye gives us diet water. Okay, so y'all, I do not think I have a whetstone and I really wish I did. Right, this is like one of the things that distresses me is my lack of whetstone. Because I need one. Oh, hey, we got a new accessory. Nice. Hold on. We're going to repair this right now because I do not want to lose it with in a bear attack because that always happens. There's like always bear attacks. I always get murdered by bears. It is always very awkward. Yes. I find my lack of whetstone also disturbing. Oh yeah, diet water has like none of the calories. Oh, you have to, oh, go and flee. We're gonna go and go back to that prepper's cave and just pick up more stuff to encumber ourselves with. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, so, oh hey, it is snowing. That's okay, right? The beverage is all the great water taste, but only half the calories. I want my water with half the calories. That is a true statement. It is dark. Hey, you know what we can do? We have got torches. And, oh, it's too windy to light a torch, so we're not going to light one. Oh, well. That's life. It's the long dark. I only drink my diet water without ice. Ice has too many calories. Fair. So here's what I was thinking, right? I was thinking about a thing that is it's a thing to worry about. So people like, you know, the word queer was used as an insult. And somebody's like, oh, don't use it because it's a slur. And I was like, but here's the thing. People who don't like queer people will turn any word that queer people use to describe themselves and make it a slur. Because they don't like queer people, right? So if you let those people have power over your language, then you will never have a term to describe yourself. Because whatever term you use, they will take as an insult because they don't like you. So then the question becomes, when do you decide not to let those people take your words anymore? Because they'll take all of them. And that's the thing, right? And more importantly, it's dark and you're losing heat faster than expected given all your heavy coats. Yes, but I feel like, hey, did you hear that? You heard that, right? Oh, we've been in here already. We've been in this house. This house is no longer interesting. Let's leave the house. We're warm up just a little bit. Just a little bit. Yes. So I think that's a bit of a conundrum, right? Do you let people have that much? Because they will take whatever word you use, they will take it, and they will use it against you. So when do you decide not to let them have that, that power? That happens to the intellectually disabled community. It does, right? Denise, I think you missed a comment that Jer made earlier when he mentioned that it happens a lot with mental disabilities. And this is a real question. There were all these terms that were medical terms that were not slurs that were used to describe people, and then they were turned into slurs by people who are bigots. And then you don't have those terms anymore. So then what do you do, right? So I think I don't have an answer for this. Right? I do not have an answer for this conundrum. But I will note that it is a conundrum. I know, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna find the place, we're gonna hop in there, and it'll be okay. It'll be okay. And I think this becomes like a real, like, because the problem ultimately is not the slur, I think, but that society does not respect people and sees people in a degrading way, if that makes any sense. The ID community has to change their script terms about every 10 years, right? The intellectually disabled community. And it's really, right, that's like a, yeah, what do you, and the thing is, I feel like, first off, if you want to change a term, change a term. I'm not the boss of you, do what you want to do to make yourself feel comfortable. But the fundamental problem is not the term, it's the fact that people are bigoted, right? That's the fundamental problem. Society doesn't respect people, sees them in a degrading way, right? And that's the source of the issue. The source of the issue is that society is not respecting a group of people and see them in a degrading way, and so they keep seeing everything as degrading, right? And how do you fix that problem? How do you fix that problem? How do you get people to respect people who are intellectually disabled, physically disabled, who are whatever, like all the things, right? How do you get people to stop being, like, killing everyone doesn't help, because then everybody's dead, and then you have a lot of blood on your clothing. It's really hard to get blood out. That's just all I'm saying. When everyone is dead, no one is disrespected. Perhaps I'm gonna light this torch. Oh wait, what is this? Ooh, a fire striker. Well, that's interesting. I wonder how they work. That's a new thing I got. I'm not gonna use it right now because I feel like it's too cool. Visibility, right? And I think that becomes one of the things you have to work on. You have to work on changing the way that people see other people, right? Through working on visibility, education, getting people to be respectful.
Probably useful.
You know, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff in here that looks kind of exciting. Ooh, warm running shoes. We're gonna take, look at Stacy's grape soda. Stacy, she's got the best grape soda, y'all.
Best be prepared for anything.
Ooh, condensed milk, some MREs. Look at it, y'all. I got a bunch of stuff. And there's other things I desperately want. Perfect revolver, ammunition. That looks very cool. I also already have a revolver.
This will come in handy.
All these things are really good, but I'm not going to take them with me now because I'm going to need them. I'm going to come back here. We're doing one more trip, is what I'm trying to tell you. And we're going to try to get as much... Gosh. People. I'm very excited about all the things in here, but we're going to just take this soda. It's good.
Looks like this has been here a while.
Yeah, I'm picking up those cans. All those cans, I got them. I'm taking them. They are mine. Mine. Let me open this up. Hey, Sea Spider Mix, how are you? Oh, hey, I'm glad to see you back. It's good to see you. How have you been? Toybit says, for when everyone is dead, everyone is disrespected. I come from a school of abdication. So let's see. It's a thing that takes a long time to change, which is unfortunate in that we may not see the end result in our lifetime. But I would imagine things will be better on average in 10 years and 20 years from now than they were 10 and 20 years ago. Absolutely. But also, Stacy, Soda Pop has got it going. Absolutely. I'm going to just take this coffee.
I'll take it.
I have Pepsi Max Mango. Tasty. I believe in individuals, but I've given up on humanity collectively. The thing is, I actually haven't given up on humanity collectively, because when you look at the collective of humanity, they've done so much. Like, we've done so much good as a collective too. So like, but I'm very Pollyanna. This does not weigh a lot, so I'm going to take it. I have a lot of good thoughts about people. I think is best. You know, I do tend to like human beings. I don't tend to think of them as. So there's a revolver. There's a revolver. I have another revolver. I feel like I don't need two revolvers, right? I don't need two revolvers. We won't pick this up right now. No, we will not. We just won't. We'll take these papers, though. The idea that existence tends towards justice often ignores that variation between can be pretty extreme. Absolutely. My issue with that is that in my lifetime, things have not really seemed to me. You know, here's the thing I would say, Millie. When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. Oh, Mr. Rogers, yeah. A person is smart, people are dumb. Panicking dangerous animals, and, you know, do a willy. Absolutely. But, you know, here's the thing, though, about that. Panicky people, I mean, but as a collective, we've also done really good things collectively. And that's, right, that's a thing that I also would note, right? That we've not, as a, like, individual, like, how do I put this? Individuals can't do everything by themselves, right? An individual can't do everything by themselves. And some of the greatest changes we've had came through the work of collectives. And I think that's a thing that, like, I will note that I'm not, I actually will harvest that for a stick, right? That we have done, like, we have done collective good things as well, is what I would say. Okay, look, I still have, like, space in my inventory to pick up more things. I'm just noting. I will also say, this is sort of a touching on what I'm gonna pick up more things. Do I need more flare shells? Maybe I don't. I don't know. Why don't I? Here's my question. Do I actually have other things I need to do in here? Because I may not need to. I may be done with that. Side missions. I need to find convicts, the forest talkers, tall tales. I actually think I'm done with these prepper caches, right? Yes, I am. I'm good. So I can just take some stuff from here. I'm going to take these cans of oil and my cloth. That's probably too heavy, and I probably can't walk anymore. Can I walk? I can! Oh, look, I can walk! You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna, break down some shoes. Yeah, I'm gonna just, harvest those shoes, because I feel like that'll probably, make me less encumbered. Also, ooh. Oh, I'll have some soda. How about that? I'm gonna have some soda. Because I'm a little thirsty. Yes. Valtiel, your term sack was flagged. That's ridiculous. Makes me think. Toybit says, I've seen improvement in my lifetime, but there's still a lot more to do. But a societal change caused me would have been blown away by my lifetime. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing. When I think about seeing progress, I see a lot of progress. I see a lot of progress. I am blown away by the amount of progress that... So this is... Oh, we need to dump some of this stuff, right? Also, is there any way for me to sharpen this? I do not have a whetstone. That is very distressing to me. I would like a whetstone. I would like to sharpen that. I would like to make the world a better place. Yeah, I would don't have the things I need to repair things, and I really need to sharpen my hatchet because I'm worried about losing it. Is there another hatchet I can find somewhere? By the way, like, is there like a you know, yeah, is there like a, I need a whetstone, people. Sorry, I don't mean to yell. We're gonna go and walk really slowly back to town and drop off a lot of this food that we have that's heavy. It's just gonna be slow, but that's okay. It's just an excuse for us to chat with each other while we're doing it. It'll be fine. Don't even be mad at me. We're gonna try walking this way. Fighting the food fight even though it's a losing battle. Yeah. Again, I know you won't listen. Drop enough until you're underweight and make 2 trips. You won't hurt yourself. No, I'm just gonna drop this stuff off, right? Millie says, I have a genuine problem that my memory has progressively worsened, and this has influenced my growing pessimism. As I remember less, I cannot think of as many good things we have accomplished, and my horizons begin shrinking. It just seems like so much of what I see these days is people worshiping stupidism. I don't think there's a whetstone in a pile. I'll look. So, Sea Spider says, there's a lot of snow. You can wet stones pretty easily. So what I'd say, Millie, is that I think about my life. And I think about my mom's life. When my mom was a kid, she had to drink out of a colored watering fountain, and I do not. I think about trans kids who are 20 and how much easier their life is than mine was when I was 20. I think about how gay marriage was illegal until just a few years ago. I think about how in 2003, gay sex was still illegal. You could go to jail. You could go to jail. And 2003 was not that long ago. I think about the ways in which it was... Marital rape laws didn't come into effect until the 1970s. So it was legal to sexually assault a woman if you were married to her. I think about how laws did not recognize sexual assault against men at all until recently, and that has changed. I think about the ways in which, I mean, really, so much has changed. So much has changed in ways that I think is better. And these things happen because people worked for it. Like when I think about Martin Luther King Jr. said that the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. And I don't think I'd say that specifically, but what I'd say is things bend the way that we work to bend them. They don't bend towards justice by themselves. They bend towards justice because we keep working at it. And they only work this way because we each keep making steps. We each keep taking steps to bend towards justice. And as long as we keep stepping and we keep passing the ball one step forward, it'll keep going that way that we hope for it to go. We may have setbacks, we certainly will, but if we don't fight, if we don't keep fighting, then it will go the other direction because there are other people who are working to move the arc of history other directions, right? And if we give up, they won't, and they will pull it back another direction. Yeah. In early 2000, women weren't in the military for combat positions. Yep. And women have only been able to have their own credit cards in the U.S. only since the 70s. Absolutely. Valtiel says, bad things are way easier to remember than good things. I guess it's a survival brain sort of thing. My example is a lot more benign, but go back and watch any popular comedy movie from the year like 2000, 2005, and listen to some of the jokes that are perfectly okay to say back then. Absolutely. Absolutely. Denise says, 38 years ago, I flunked a class because I would not go out with the professor. I'm pretty sure that wouldn't fly nowadays. Oh, yeah, yeah. This is why I have to keep coming here. I don't have people in my life that say things like this. Thank you. You know, Millie, we are here for you. B-Spider says, it might look to us now that progress is slow, but if we compare it to before, we're going really fast. And we are. We're going really fast. And, I mean, look, no joke. Would I want to live in the 1950s? I would not. I would not. I would not at all. And I'm really glad that I was not 30 in 1965. Do you know what I mean? Like, life has changed a lot, and it may feel like things are slow, but even within my lifetime, things are different. And is different always good? I don't know. I really can't say, but it's certainly different. There are things that are meaningful to people that have changed in the last 5 years. I mean, a POC time travel is having to have choices now. That is true. Hawkeye says, as one of my pastors used to say, the wheel of God's just may grind exceedingly slow, but they grind exceedingly fine. Yeah. And Millie, I'm glad to have you here too. Justice, I got you. My granny turned 101 in November, and so much is, can you imagine? And that's the thing I think we don't even think about. Like, Rissa's granny's 101. That means she was born in 1919. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how much of things have changed in her lifetime? She's twice my age. Can you imagine? A lot of things you're talking about, some haven't been part of my life experiences. And that's the thing to think about. For a lot of people who are very marginalized, things have gotten better. Some things have gotten worse, but, oh hey, new location. But a number of things have gotten just materially much better. And it's just important to sort of think about that, right? Like, I mean, there was a time at the turn of the century that if a white woman married a Chinese man in the United States, she would lose her U.S. citizenship because they did not. Gosh, Loving Virginia was like, what, 69? Before then, interracial marriages were illegal, right? Illegal. My parents were an interracial couple, and I was born in 72. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, think about that. Think about all the things that were just illegal. You couldn't do. And if you did them, that, you know, was no bueno for you. By the way, this is so beautiful. I know we're moving very slowly at the moment, but we're chill. We're just hanging out. We're getting there. We're not far. Were you heading to drop all your news? Yes. No. I'm taking a shortcut. I think this is a shorter way to get there than the way that I went. I suspect this is a shortcut. So I'm just, like, rather than going around the mountain, I'm just going more directly, I hope. I hope this is a more direct route. I want to be more aware of this. Yeah. We're like in third grade still, but so that's practically the mid-90s. Crown says, I think the legality of interracial marriages was determined by state before. Loving made it, but there were still states where it was illegal, right? Like, so in some. Oh, let me save. I will save. Yeah, in some states they had legalized. Hey, you know what? I think maybe this wasn't a. Where am I? Let's look at a map. I see where I am. Right. Okay. This may not have been a shortcut, as it turns out, but we are going to press forward and see if we can make it across. Okay, well, yeah. There's a walking tree. We're gonna, okay, well, don't... First off, that tree's very... This is a very interesting area that I thought was just going to take us where we needed to go, and it may not. Yeah, apparently shortcuts are maybe not so short. The thing that I'm worried about is that this is called Upper Falls, and I just want to go this way, and I don't know if we can follow... I don't know if we can follow the river. Let's see. If we can't, we're going to have to go around. Yeah. If it was easy, it wouldn't be a shortcut. It'd be just the way. Yeah. Yeah. I think this path between the rocks here might be risky, even if it works. It looks like Sprankle City. It might be, and we may not actually be able to go this way. I just need to look. It looks, you know, look, it looks like we can't. So let's try. We're going to try one other way, shortcut style. And that is, we're going to try to see if we can cut across this way. Hawkeye says, I'm old enough to remember the days where non-white characters on TV shows were basically shills and not really written for. For example, Michael Dorn on the TV show Chips. Yeah, and I'm also remembering when, like, TV commercials were segregated. Like, you have the black McDonald's commercials and then the white McDonald's commercials, and there was just no Asian representation whatsoever. And if you did have Asian representation, it was not good. Or 16 Candles. You know, like, there's just... things have changed a lot. Now, some things have gotten worse. That's also true. But those are things that we can fight for. And because things don't get worse by themselves. Right? Things don't just get worse by themselves. Somebody somewhere is advocating to make a change. And a change that is not as good, usually, for you and me, but good for them. Maybe because they're millionaires. Who knows? So people have worked to change those things, specifically, and if we give up, then they just keep doing it. So we just can't give up. That's the thing. I wonder if I can actually walk this way or if I can't. Okay, hear me out, says Valtiel. I'm turning a year older imminently, but I have not heard of segregated TV commercials. Really? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Back in the 80s, and probably earlier, McDonald's commercials had only white people in them, but if you watch TV during Soul Train, then they would have the TV commercial for black people, which only had black people at McDonald's and had a different jingle. So you would have basically, right, like they had like their jingle was a lot more R&B and soulful. It was like the soulful R&B jingle, and then you had like the white R&B jingle that was not soulful. We have to walk around, by the way, everybody. I feel like if I were in a different situation, I would maybe... I also really want to walk across that... Do you see that tree? I really want to walk across that tree. I feel like that tree is going to be very interesting, and I want to walk across it. I do not want to walk across it right now in the state that I'm in, but we will come back here, and we are going to check out that tree, is what I'm going to say. Also, why don't we just... I don't want to eat any of these things, but I'm going to drink some of Stacy's grape soda, because it'll give us some calories, and I think it'll be okay. Oh, but you know what we can do? We can eat some of those... I don't need to, no, but I do need to. We're gonna eat some of those cattails, is what we're gonna do. Also, I don't have a lot of water. Millie says, I had not heard of it spoke of as a segregated, but immediately recognized as a thing. Absolutely. Versus, as far as commercials, I'm always happy to see ones where they're mixed race, which never happened before, or same-sex couples, as no big thing, never happened before. They're only commercials, but at least that's starting to reflect what families actually look like. But that actually means something important. It means that they think that they won't lose money if they have them there, right? Think about things like the chewing gum commercials, even up to the late 90s. They always did at least two versions with white actors and another with light-skinned black actors. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. We're going to, by the way, harvest these. Yeah, like, I realize what you're saying is, why are you adding more things? But I'm going to eat them right now, so I can get a couple of calories in my system. And then, while still having food, you know, let's, food? No. Food. Hello. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna... no matter. We're gonna just eat this. We're just gonna eat this. We're gonna just take care of it. It'll be fine. Just... I know that we are... Okay. What is the heaviest thing that I have? Water. MREs. Can of soup. Yeah, we're gonna eat this can of soup, everyone, because I think if we eat it, we'll get some calories, and it's heavy, and we can dump it, and I think it'll be not bad. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of wasting some liquid, but I feel like we've just lessened some of our weight, so chat won't yell at me as much. Boom. Look at that. We're now going to be cooking with gas, moving so much faster. Look how great it is. Yay. Yeah. It wasn't that long ago that Cheers did the first mixed race family commercial. And yeah, and Carla notes, that was Denise. Carla notes, conservatives were making big deal of an interracial Cheers commercial only like 5 years ago. Yep. Did you ever watch the video I linked of someone eating cattails? I did. It's very interesting. Millie says, I'm pretty anti-American history, to be honest. Thanksgiving is a hard holiday for me. I don't want to give thanks. I want to give it back. So much of our foundation is built on extortion and abuse. I find it very hard to tolerate the disparity we live with every day, every breath. Yeah, and so here's the thing about that. I don't know of a place that isn't. I'm going to tell you a thing. And you can think about it as you go. This is also, I feel like maybe if I go this way, that'll be the shortcut. Here's the thing I want to tell you. I do not find, sometimes people get like, talking about like guilt, like, you know, white guilt or male guilt or whatever guilt, that kind of guilt sort of stuff. I personally do not find guilt very helpful. Do you know what I mean? I find that people get full of guilt and despair, and what happens is they don't do anything. They sit feeling really awful. But sitting feeling really awful doesn't change anything. It just means you're feeling really awful. So if you feel awful and then that's all you do, that's not going to help me. So I feel like don't feel awful. Do something. Do you know what I mean? That's what I would say. Like, do something to make it better, whatever better means for you. And also, we have multiple foundations. Where are you starting your foundation? There are all sorts of foundations. So you just gotta, like, keep working on it, you know? I'm planning on doing something, it's not much. Okay, Max says, I'm planning on doing something, it's not much, but here's the thing. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, and don't let not much stop you, because that's how collectivity works. If we each do not much, then we've all done something a lot, right? Like, one person can't do the whole thing by themselves. And to think that you have to do it by yourself will stop you from doing anything. Or if you think, oh, the thing I did wasn't a lot, but that little thing can be really big. And I think you have to just do the parts that you can do, little by little, and let other people do other parts. And do your best and keep pushing, right? To sort of quote the song by Curtis Mayfield, you know, you gotta keep on pushing, right? You just gotta keep on pushing. Take a sad song and make it better, and remember to let it enter. Yes, absolutely. I do, but I have little to do with. I'm a one-on-one person, not a many mover. But it's a writing thing I've been encouraged to do. Research is rough, though. Yeah. But this I think might be the shortcut here. I believe that my actions affect the people who affect the many. But see, let's go back to the 70s, right? Hawkeye says, and people talk about how bad people behave here, but America isn't alone with, no, right? That's the thing. It's like, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be, right? Every place has got its problems. Every single place has got its problems. We only have to just work with the places where we're at and work to make those better. Or if this place is intolerable, go to a different place and work on that place. But no place is free of problems. Krellin says, gotta feed cats, so this means you've got 30 minutes left. Okay, thank you. America's worse. I don't think America is the worst place, Max. There are a lot of places that, I mean, like, I'm glad I did not live in South Africa in the 1980s, for example. There are a lot of places that are not good either. Americans tend to, yeah, Carlin notes, Europe has a massive issue with dark-skinned immigrants and refugees. Absolutely, absolutely. I don't yet know of other countries that had sundown towns for 100 years. So, first off, slavery was in all sorts of countries. Brazil had slavery, the entire New World had slavery, Europe had slavery. Apartheid was a thing in South Africa, so there was that. The murder of indigenous people did not just happen in the United States. Pogroms, I mean, the Holocaust happened. There were pogroms in Eastern Europe. Lots of places had really bad things going on for a very long time. We're just not the only ones. Americans tend to be pretty down on themselves, which, you know, fair enough, but we are not unique in atrocities. Yeah. You just hear more about it here because the press, and Hawkeye actually has a really good point too. The United States does talk about things that other countries often don't talk about. So yeah, I don't know if this is the way to walk. This may not be the way to walk, everybody. Y'all, is this the way to walk? Or is this maybe not the way to walk? I would like to walk this way. I would like to talk this way. I'm afraid this... We're going to save. We're going to save, everybody. We're going to save. Yeah, some parts of Africa still have... Yeah, right? My brother had a friend in college who had to blow through red lights at night because he's still in South Africa. Yeah. I mean, what I'm trying to say is... yeah. Australia. Ooh, Australia. Oof. Oof, 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 oof. Yes, we are currently right there, right? So we're gonna just head this way. We're just heading that way. We took a not shortcut. My biggest concern with the U.S. are environmental. Yes, all these things are problems with us. We have a disproportionate impact on global climate for our population. Ooh, hi, Sprained Ankle. How are you doing? How are you? Let's just, let's fix that. Let's just fix that right now. Let's just do that. And then let's use some painkillers, because who doesn't like painkillers? We can fix that. We can fix that Sprankle. And then we'll just move a little, we'll just like be a little more chill as we move, as we're walking down. Just a little more careful. You know, China has a big impact on the environment, on the globe, but we're also working. You know what I mean? Like, this is, people have worries about the environment. I also have worries about the environment, but I'm also old enough to remember acid rain, which we have gotten rid of. I'm also old enough to remember the hole in the ozone layer, which we have repaired. I'm not old enough, but I remember hearing about, you know, the Hudson River catching on fire because it was full of chemicals. Like, and we started the EPA. It is easy to be demoralized by what's happening, but we have to remember that we are working on it. And right now, we should be really worried about the rainforest, which is not the United States, because there's a lot of clear cutting going on. Yeah, also Lake Erie. Yeah. But they also have huge populations. Sure, but still it's there, right? It's still happening. And right now, we have to worry about the rainforest being deforested in really big ways. But also, we don't, and we still mostly match them in impact. But we can turn it around. That's the thing. Look at photos of litter and oh my gosh, litter on highway sides and the 50s and rails everywhere. Ooh, yeah. We are working on it. And the thing is, if we get demoralized, then we stop working. Right? That's the problem, is that we get demoralized and we think there's nothing we can do, and then we lose hope. And when we lose hope, we stop working, and then things don't get better. And we also know more about it. Do you know how bad the environment was in the 70s. Like, we can talk about how bad things are now, but it was really bad at the turn of the last century because we were using coal, dirty fuel, clear cutting, and not replanting and reforesting. The pollution was awful. Like, even, like, there were smog days in the 1960s that were so bad that people could not leave their house. There was like an episode of Mad Men about it, how like basically people had to stay inside because the smog was so bad. And I remember people talking about it, like when I was a little kid, there were these smog days in LA that were just so bad that you couldn't leave the house. We are not great, but we are working on it. And we have to recognize that we are. We need to work faster, but we can't be demoralized. We can't stop moving. Yeah, I remember the litter in the sinks. Oh, yeah, litter was really bad. And just the random dumping of hazardous stuff willy-nilly, like textile factories. Oh my gosh. There are small days like that in China pretty regularly. There are. I also am remembering how bad, like, I don't know if you all know how bad the environmental damage was that we were doing in the 19th century and earlier. So I live in the Boston area, and there's the Mystic River. I live not too far from the Mystic River. And the Mystic River is, they don't quite know what to do with the Mystic River because the bed of the river is so toxic. It is so toxic. So basically don't walk on it. You can't swim on it. They would need to basically dredge up the entire river and refix it. And why is it so toxic? Because it was used for factories in the 18th and 19th century for like textiles, paper mills. Like the way that we did industry, factory industry in the 18th and 19th century, even if it wasn't a factory, was so toxic and so bad for the environment that we still have really dangerous toxic chemicals at the bottom of this river from the 18th and 19th century. And we are better now. We still have to deal with that, of course. But we were really bad in the 18th and 19th century. We were bad. It was bad, and we have gotten better. The Cuyahoga River Fire was 1969. Ooh. Wow. I'm just waiting for the day the Earth itself just shakes us off like an annoying bug and heals itself. But also the Earth is also healing itself, right? The Earth is healing itself, right? We just have to help. And it is easy. You know, I was talking to somebody about this, right? And this is something I was talking to somebody who was like much younger than I am. And there's a kind of a depressive non-state that I know a bunch of my students have. My students are like, it's never been this bad. This is the worst it's ever been in the entire history of the world. We've never been more divided. It's never been more violent. It's never been more dangerous. The environment's never been as bad. It's never been this oppressive. And I was like, no, it was worse just 20 years ago. We are in a better space than we have been. It is not the best space, but we know more than we have now. People are like, I mean, my goodness, we are in a way better space than we used to be. Again, not saying it's the best space, but it is way better now. The Earth's ecosystem is self-correcting. We just have to stop doing damage faster than it heals. Absolutely. God, I hate that. We've never been more divided. Like, we were so divided in 1860 that we literally fought a war over it. Yep. Absolutely. And in the 1960s, people were bombing black churches. There was bombings everywhere. I mean, could you, in massive lynchings, massive wide-scale lynchings, bombing of houses and churches, Ku Klux Klan throwing, burning crosses everywhere. I mean, we are in a way, way better place than we have been in a really, really long time. Are we great? No, but it is better. It is better. Information is so important. Sort of trying back to information warfare combat. Oh, talk about information warfare. Absolutely. Information has never been more abundant, but it's never been more valuable. And I feel like what happens is that because of the abundance, people have just stopped reading. Do you know what I mean? People have stopped. They've checked out, which means, yeah. Remember the bombing by the weathermen in the 60s? Absolutely, yeah. Apparently you guys and I do not exist in the same scientific news circles. The things you're saying about the environment are not easing my concerns at all. They're magnifying them. I suppose what I'd say is that our rivers are no longer catching on fire regularly. That no longer happens because we started the EPA and we've worked on that. We have worked to make the situation better. And we have made it better. When I think about, like, it was not good in the 1980s. And people cared less, as a matter of fact, right? Not only was it worse, but a lot of people just didn't care. People care now more, and they are working to make it better. There's something called mean world syndrome that comes from taking too much news. Bad news gets more clicks. That's another thing too. That bad news does get more clicks, and people make money off of bad news. And so it's in their best interest to make things seem really awful because it sells more things. But that doesn't mean that it is that way. You know? Humanity has not pushed the environment to an unstoppable tipping point. If we stopped all emissions tomorrow, the environment would quickly right itself. Yeah. Yeah. We can, and the thing is, we can get there. We can do it. We can. We just have to do it, right? And I think that's the thing. We have to do it. And that means that even the slow progress we're making is positive, yeah. Hawkeye knows the old press adage, if it bleeds, it leads. Yeah, by the way, I'm going to go into this house over here because it's just right next to the bridge that we need to cross. Figured might as well just see what's there. Oh, I don't think we can actually get in there. Well then, done. Walking across the bridge. And I think a lot about algorithms, right? Like there's a lot of investment in well, this is interesting. This is interesting. These are not worth a lot of calories. I will eat one of these because if they're not worth a lot of calories, then I can eat them and let's see. Yeah, we'll just eat this one. It'll get weight off of me while still well, not taking too much weight from that town that I want to oh, here. Let's have this grape soda. Let's hope it doesn't make me sick. Nope. Hey. And look, we're moving even faster now. Theoretically. Yeah, like, this is great. We're under 66 kilograms. There is a sun. The sun is, like, condemned. We're not losing tip right now. That feels like a valuable situation. Yeah, I'm feeling really good. And at this pace, you may make it to the community center by the time you decide off. I think I will. I think I'll make it there. It's just we can't see. Like, look, it looks like Silent Hill. This looks like Silent Hill, is what I'm saying. But we're moving faster. We're like, I feel like everything is really good right now. More or less, basically. And we'll just drop off the food. Yeah. Millie says, we've mitigated surface effects. We've achieved palliative mitigation of environmental concerns. Because of this, many people think if we stopped all emissions today, the environment would just right itself. But we aren't, and we can't just stop. And because we seem to think we can, we won't. And we're at tipping points and network effects that we and the environment have never been at before, which may, once crossed, be points of no return. Oh, I love Silent Hill. I love Silent Hill. Silent Hill 2 is like my favorite. I love Silent Hill 2. Like, I love it. Also, I feel like I'm crawling, but I'm clearly not because that would be crawling. I think I wrote a Call of Cthulhu based on Silent Hill 2. Ooh, Silent Hill 2 is so good. I have an unconventional thought about Silent Hill, but I don't care. I don't care. I would say this. It's easy to get disheartened and to say everything, like, that's it, we can't do anything, we're all gonna die. But that's not going to make things better. Being like we're all gonna die and we're doomed, all that really does is tell people to stop trying. And if we stop trying, then we are doomed. So I don't find it all that useful. I don't think it'll help us get where we need to be. I think recognizing that we have a long way to go, but we have also come a long way, keeps us moving, right? I'm not trying to say I'm disheartened or to say do nothing. I'm trying to say we absolutely have to do more. Absolutely. Of course we do. But there is a thing that people say. They say, we can't do anything. There's nothing we can do. I'm too small. The forces are too big. There isn't anything we can do. And I tend to find it's progressive people who say that. There's no point. There's no point. And there isn't a point if you don't do anything, right? And I was thinking about, the thing I wanted to tell you. There's a commercial from the 70s. I think it's, Prel? Is it Prel? Hawkeye would know. Rissa would know. Prel would know. Prel. I'm pretty sure it's Prel. Prel? Maybe it was a shampoo commercial. Yeah, it's a shampoo commercial. Max maybe would know too. It was the commercial where it starts with one woman with her hair. I don't think it was Pantene. Anyway, she says, this product is so amazing, so I'm going to tell 2 friends. And then she splits in half. And if they tell 2 friends, then it splits again. And they too tell 2 friends, and it splits again. And all of a sudden you have this, like, mosaic of a gazillion people. Yeah. You remember that commercial. I can't remember if it was Prel or... I don't think it was Pantene. But it was, you know, one of those commercials. And I feel like that's about change as well. If you can change 2 people, that is important. Because it means a lot. Yeah. But I was also thinking about discrimination. There are a lot of people who do not respect people with intellectual disabilities. But you don't have to change the entire world. You have to change the community that you're in and make that community welcoming. And if you can make that community welcoming, then people who have intellectual disabilities can be in that community and be safe and feel loved. And you don't have to change the whole world. You change your part of the world. Look, what I'm saying right now is very Gen X. Gen X is, oh, I will see you, Denise, I will see you. I will see you actually pretty soon, right? Because we've got, when do we have Road to Relia? When do we have Road to Relia? When do we have it? March 27th. There you go. I will see you for some Cthulhu soon. Yes. Also, y'all, I'm totally gonna get to this place and drop off stuff before we leave. I feel pretty good about it. And I think that's the thing, right? That's the thing that I think about. I think about the ways in which we think we have to do all of it, but we have to just do little pieces. And those little pieces can be really important. Do you know what I mean? Millie says, I own myself and my responsibility for showing up every single day as much as I'm capable in every way that I'm able, despite all of my disabilities, for my values and what I believe is important. Yeah. And for me, that is by spreading ideas. Absolutely. Absolutely. I affect people by being open and honest, reflecting my truth and what I hear as best as I'm capable. Millie, that is so important. That is so important. It really is. Max says, if I found a way to post it online and give it away without being sued, I think the company that made it is really lost. I will. And I have to say, and this is really... Dungeons and Dragons. Millie, Dungeons and Dragons. What do I mean by that? And you're like, what are you talking about? I will tell you. As we were getting to this space and feeling so good about what we did today. All we did was raid a bunker, but like, you know, people will often go and they'll play Dungeons and Dragons, and they'll be like, hey, I want to create, like, we're like early medieval, right? They're like, I want to create democracy and like modern democracy and also germ theory. And also I want to do all these things. And they will say things like, I don't know why they didn't do this thing in the past. It's so easy to do it. Like, it's not hard to make this thing. And I was like, it's not the crafting of the thing that's the difficulty. It's the conception of the thing. It's the conception of the thing. This is why in the 60s and 70s, there was so much effort put into decolonizing your mind or consciousness raising, that actually you can't do the thing if you don't have the idea. And so sharing ideas is so important. Like, it does so much to share ideas, because that's how it all starts, right? That's like something that is so... It cannot be underestimated how important sharing an idea with somebody is. Because you can't do any of the rest of the stuff if you don't have ideas. So, I've got some fuel kinds of stuff, but I don't think I want to give it to them because I think I need it. So I'm going to give them some food. I'm going to give them things that are... Well, I should probably give them these MREs, because those MREs are worth a lot of calories. Ooh, y'all. I'm very close. I'm very close, everybody. I think I am really close. Y'all, I'm so close. I am 60 calories down. So maybe I can... let's see what we can do. Ooh, we are close. Ooh, okay. Let me look at my food and see. Like, maybe I just need 60 calories. What is that? That's 300. These things are worth a lot. Oh. I can do a cup of coffee. Boom. Cup of coffee. Put it in there, and then we should be good. And I can make more coffee. Yes. 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 Cup of coffee. Boom! I'm low on food, but, you know, that's not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad at all, if I do say so myself. I'm still kind of heavy with my stuff, but I'm carrying a couple of things that I want to make some snares out of. I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay. Advanced at Cole, right? Michael Scott. That's what she said. We need to hit one rabbit with a rock. Now we're just out of firewood. I just need to add wood. We didn't dump all the coal. I've dumped most of it. I have one coal left. Ooh. Where are you saving? All right. Millie says, I told someone yesterday something they said offended me. They asked me if I ever considered that everyone might be trying as hard as I am. I was like, I think you're confused. I found what you said offensive. I never judged you. You are not the words you used. I just let you know why the words you used bothered me. Yeah. Yeah. So we are right here. Here's the question. Here's the question, y'all. What time is it? And the idea of saying to somebody, you are not, you know, that your words and you are separate, that can be really important. Right? That can be really important, because that's teaching someone that we can, like, think about our words differently. And we might be able to, like, you know, whoop, there we go. These things are important. we're going to go to sleep for 9 hours. Because we're ending our game. But we do need to drink water and eat food while we're here. I'm going to just have some tomato soup. It'll be great. And then we're going to go. Yeah, so I actually think that, I mean, look, yes, when I say that, it is also true that I am a teacher, so clearly I do value ideas. But I think ideas are really important. Giving people the tools and the language to think about themselves and the world differently allows them to think about themselves and the world differently. And that is important. Yeah. And I'm out of food. I have no food. Okay, so here's what I propose. I propose that I go in there and I take 1 MRE because I have currently 0 food. So I feel like I take 1 MRE back, right? Just 1. And, yeah, I'm going to just take 1 MRE so that I have some food. And then we save and end. Because I kind of feel like we should have a little bit of food. You know, I feel like it's kind of awkward if we don't. So, boom. I'm going to save, and then I'm going to go, because I have got some... I've got some things I've got to do for the really amazing and very interesting Koloss we're going to have tomorrow. Like...
The storm is coming, and the people...
Very interesting.
Don't delay, my child.
Okay, thanks. We're going to set ourselves by the door. We do kind of have a lot of stuff on us right now, so that is kind of a bit of a thing. Oh yeah, I'm really excited. Look, I didn't think I was not planning to do it this way, but then I did. Oh, thanks, Millie. No, I'm always here for amazing conversations, and thank you for having that conversation. By the way, Millie, I want to say thank you, especially for being vulnerable in that conversation, because having a conversation like that where you're open about your feelings and your fears, we're going to drop half of our cloth. Let's drop 26 cloth. I'm feeling really good about our lives right now. We have dropped some cloth. We have got some heavy things, but it's not the worst ever. We'll refuel. And then I feel like we can... I don't want to drop the guts because I want to make some rabbit snares. I want to find a... what do you... I'm going to drop that. I'm going to drop the jerry can because I've got... I fill up the... We know it's here. We can get it when we come back, right? And we have this jerry can right here with a little bit more, so I feel like that's fine. I feel like we are in a good space. We've got a lot of torches. We just have to use them. We've got some flares. We just have to use them. We've got some cans that we just drop. I don't know why I have a stone. I don't need it. Look, look. Y'all should be proud of me. I'm dropping things. Like, aren't you proud of me? And we'll keep all that food. Because none of that is very heavy. All of this I'm wearing. We've got a bunch of... Okay. You know what? I'm also going to drop a couple stuff. I picked up that stone recently. Speaking of which, by the way, I also just feel a little bit weird about... Can I just drop all this stuff here? I think I should not drop stuff here. I think I should put it in a cabinet. That makes me feel better. let's put it in one of these cabinets. Oops, pardon me. Let's search this cabinet. And we'll just put stuff.
Hope
Oh,
nobody needs this anymore.
cool. And all right, so please remind me, we're gonna put a bunch of stuff in this far right cabinet. Millie says, sometimes I ramble, sometimes I rampage, just to blow off steam, like right after I save, but just before I quit, I use the rifle to shoot. All right, so we have dropped a bunch of stuff. I'm going to drop these 2 antiseptics. I'm going to drop some of these, just a couple of the energy drinks, like the ones that are not going to go bad soon. I will drop... None of those things weigh a lot, so I'm going to keep all of that. And I'm going to keep all this fire starting stuff because I'm going to need it. And look, see, look. I'm at 53. I'm really good. I've just dropped so much stuff. And you should be super proud of me. Because, like, that was really good. And now I can leave and do the quitting. And you'll be like, oh, I'm so proud of you because you dropped all the stuff. Ta-da! See? I just like be proud. Look how fast I'm moving. I'm gonna stand here right by the door and save. And save. Y'all. Okay. Point 1. Did we solve a bunch of missions? No, but we did big ones that were like I feel really good about it. That's it. Okay. I'm still 13K over, but like it was like way less than normal. All right. Right now, I've got to go and send some messages to my players. I need to go and get them some character sheets on Roll20, give them the Roll20 link, link them to like the show Bible, all that stuff. Because we're gonna have a really special episode of Kolos tomorrow, which I'm really excited about, and I hope you liked the new teaser that dropped. And yeah, so thank you for being here. Thank you for like hanging out. You can find me tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern for City of Light and Shadow Kolos. Watch it. It's gonna be really special. It's gonna be really cool. I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to cause trouble. Lindsay will be there. You can then find me on Saturday at noon here for The Outer Worlds, and at 4 p.m. for Tidal Blades over at Table Story. And then Sunday, everybody, Sunday is the season opener of The Witcher. The Witcher returns, Witcher Roads Home returns Sunday at 8 p.m. over at Praxagora the Smophoria's channel. And we're going to be there for that. How exciting is that? So make sure if you want to, I've got to go find my wig for my character, but we're going to be back with The Witcher on Sunday. And I am so excited. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. That's it. So take care of yourselves. Follow if you like. You can find me here at Trooper SJP or at YouTube at Trooper SJP, Academic Foxhole on Twitter, and also Patreon, which goes to help pay for the casts, all that goodness. But that's all of me. So I want to thank you all for being here, and I will see you all. I will catch you on the flip side. Thanks, everybody. And remember, if you're feeling disheartened, okay. In times of trouble, when you're needing company, just call out my name, and wherever I am, I will be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend in the foxhole. All right, bye, everybody. Catch you on the flip side. I'm gonna get some food.